What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Friday night? Friday night already. I can't believe it. Hope everybody's had a good week. It is the Friday night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. We got a really, really big show for you tonight. There's a lot. By big show, I mean there's a lot. So I don't know how long this is going to go on for. Maybe too long. I don't know. But we're just going to do it. See what happens. How's everybody doing? We got Rosie. We got Spam. We got Izzy in the chat. We got Spam Bot. Good to see all you guys. All right. Who got the first like tonight? Let me go back and see. Looks like it's either Spambot or Izzy. Either way, congratulations. Whoever got it, congratulations. That means double good karma. Of course, any liking on the stream will get good karma. One single dose of very potent, powerful dose of good karma, though, of course. But the first one, that's special. So you get double good karma. Double. In these troubled times. You can't turn your nose up at that. Of course, you also get good karma for liking this, or for subscribing. Subscribing, that's the most important thing of all. Subscribing as well. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, and on Locals. Hello to everybody at these various platforms. All right. Am I late? Somebody's asking if I'm late. Izzy, am I late? Well, I started at 7:33, I think. So that's normal time. 3 minutes late. All right, what are you guys saying quickly? Hey, Rosie, how you doing? Now, Rosie sent in a special video that we have to look at. Very special. This really was hilarious. I showed this to Princess Baloney immediately and Mr. Snacks. Check this out. What is this? This is from Rosie. She posted this on X. Did you see that? That beautiful, beautiful Radio Baloney mug that Rosie is a proud owner. Rosie's family is now a proud owner of. Pretty sweet, huh? That is awesome. Thank you, Rosie. That is fantastic. You can't understand what a kick I got out of seeing this. It's awesome. You get some applause. And you also get this as well. Nice work. Genuinely got it. I genuinely think this is amazing. So thank you very, very much. What else are we doing? Well, let's go through the menu first. We got quite a lot on the menu. First off, we're going to start out with something a little lighter than normal. Liberal women, lonely, are more unhappy than conservative counterparts. Blah. Liberal women, lonelier, more unhappy than conservative counterparts. American Family Survey. Well, I thought I'd take a deeper dig, and I found out why. This explains it all. This is from Everyday Feminism. So this is basically an instruction manual on how to be lonely. 8 warning signs your partner is actually really sexist. Yeah. I mean, if your whole ideology is centered on you being a victim and everybody's your enemy, I don't know. That could lead to problems. All right, we'll take a look at that. We're going to take a look at Trump has fired all federal prosecutors. Trump has fired all federal prosecutors appointed by Biden. So, of course, the left is freaking out about that. But, yeah, Biden did the same thing. We'll take a look at that. Let's see. What do we got here? RFK heading to the FDA headquarters tomorrow with his baseball bat of justice. So we'll take a quick look. We maybe not watch the entire speech, but take a quick look at it just after he got confirmed, speaking there with Trump to the media in the Oval Office. I think it's worth seeing. JD Vance. I've said it before. I was kind of a bit disappointed when he was named, and boy, he proved me wrong. Here he is talking to Europeans and making them not happy. This guy's not happy about what he heard, I'll tell you that much. But he's just giving them, lobbing truth bombs at them, which they can't handle. They can't handle the truth. So we'll probably spend a little while on that. We'll talk about some of the why Europe is becoming a hellscape. I asked Grok a few things. This is the sort of thing you want for the next Canadian Prime Minister. Talking about how he wants nothing to do with the UN or the WEF. That's what we want to hear. I think this is actually a little bit old, this one, but it's timeless. Let's see. We've got some Canada stuff. We've got Mark Carney we're going to talk about. Now, I bought his book. So I bought the physical copy. I've been reading that for as long as I can stand before I go to sleep and highlighting certain regions. And I've also got the Kindle version as well. And I've underlined some things here that give you a bit better of an understanding into the mind of this technocrat, globalist, radical, WEF, I don't globalist. I mean, he's all the bad things. Let's see. Chrystia Freeland, we'll talk about her. She wants to bring in CBDC. So does Mark Carney. Let's see. All of the worst people are really into that central bank digital currency. So we'll see what she has to say about it. We're going to take a look at some polls. Everything is turning out as I predicted. I expect it to continue. We'll go through that. We've got some stuff on Doge, of course. And just some total derangement from Democrats. Like, they really don't have anything other than you're racist fascist if they don't like you. That's it. They have let all of their other political muscles totally atrophy, and now this is the best that they can do. Of course, we'll have something on the WEF here. He's not happy. He's not happy. The world isn't quite as keen on their dystopian plans as they would like. It's such a shame. Makes them sad. Tulsi, we'll hear from Tulsi. She was confirmed. It's all good news. What do we have here? Pete Hegseth. So we'll talk about, yes, we're going to get into what's happening with Russia, Ukraine-Russia war, Trump's strategy towards that, where that's likely to go. We're going to say here, she seems to be like really on the Trump tariff thing. She seems to be the sanest politician. She's the premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith. We'll hear from her. We've got the live stream. I've got a bunch of stuff. I think I got some stuff about horses. I think Rosie sent me a bunch of stuff about horses. We've got some stuff like that's kind of funny. I don't know, some stuff that's kind of funny, but also scary.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
I think this guy's an orc. I'm not sure. I think he's an orc. Let's see. Yeah, we've got some deranged people in here. Some just real dingbats. You know the kind I'm talking about. Jesus. Her face doesn't even fit into the frame. Jeez. She's complaining about Republican women, by the way. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of how they do their makeup, apparently. At least their faces can fit on the fucking screen. All right. This lady's just crazy. And always those crazy eyes. Crazy eyes every time. Let's see. We've got a bunch of stuff here. We've got some memes. We've got some comedy. We've got some comedy here. I don't know. Did Rosie send me this one? I can't remember. I got a bunch of stuff Rosie sent. I think she sent this Rob Schneider one. Let's see. We've got some good stuff in here. Here's some of Rosie's horse stuff. Now, last week it was ants. She sent me like 30 videos of ants. We used a couple because it's actually pretty interesting. And there was like 30 videos of horses. We used a couple because they're interesting. I can't use them all. It'd just be a horse show. I mean, maybe somebody would prefer it to be a horse show or an ant show, but, you know, we kind of have our thing already going on here. But I do appreciate it, Rosie. Let's see. More comedy. I've tried to get some, memes and comedy into this. I think we get a little thin on that recently. So something we can go to when things get too heavy. Of course, we have a little something for the, let's see. Oh, we've got also the latest aggregate poll here from 338. Things are as I expected them to be. We've got, for the ladies, of course, we have some content. Why isn't that playing? We'll have to go down. There's Chuck Norris. A little something for the ladies. And then for just people that are interested in new skills, learning how to cook, like how to fix a knife, for instance, or how to climb a fence properly, we have these videos. Of course, the cooking shows, noodles. Everybody loves noodles as well. And of course, we have, it's going to be one of the last. This is going to be one of the last Grok versus Trudeau, as the regular viewers know. Every Friday, until Trudeau's no longer in power, is no longer prime minister, I'll get Grok to write a poem about Trudeau. 3 things must happen. He must do blackface, he must get a vaginoplasty, and he must be launched from a giant cannon into the sun. I'm hoping this is, March 9th? March 9th, they're picking a new leader, the Liberals. So I guess just a few more now. I tell you what, I'm really getting sick of it, though. I just wish he would just leave. What's going on here? What's in this one here? Okay. I don't think we actually need this one. All right, we'll get rid of that. Because I think I got that covered somewhere else. All right, so. One second. Okay. Let's get to the chat, and then we will Then we'll get started. Let me acknowledge everybody. How we doing for likes so far? Do we got lots of likes? Let me check. Not enough. In fact, I have to put another like on myself right now. Come on. Let's do it. Just do it. I hear it's great for your complexion. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's move through here. There's lots of chat already. So what do we got going on? Let's see. Jesse says, Facebook gave my Doge post straight for Elon at X a fact check. Supposedly, it is untrue about FEMA sending money to house illegals in New York. LOL. Well, they actually did, but they like it's just like some accounting trick they did. So they can say, well, we didn't actually, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Max CH says it's all crazy. I think it is.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Yep. Yep. Do you know what? Where is that button? We haven't had it in. We haven't used it for a while. Where is it? Hold on. This one. Okay. Because we should be using that when we have stuff like this crazy Trump deranged lady. We should have things like this. See, it works really well. And then there's a few we need to be using more often. See, that totally works. You know what really works? Also, this one works too.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Never gets old. Never gets old. All right. Neither does climbing fences. Let's see. Turtle says, and welcome in, Turtles. When I win the lottery, I will get horses. Nice. I'd like to have a horse, but I don't have any room. I've got room for a small dog, and that's it. Let's see. Us and them says, good day to you. Noodles says, well, where is, would you guys prefer noodles? There we go. Let's see. Rosie says, wondering why one person posts an animal, then 10 people respond in kind. Ants, horses, who knew? Who knew? The internet is mysterious. It's a mysterious place. Let's see. Lambot says, for that one, the fart sound would be better. We'll have to bring that out tonight. In fact, Sarge. All right, let's go back. Hold on. We'll do it now. We'll just do it now. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
I don't know, Sarge, but we're going to get to it. Let's see. Svebot says climbing fences gets really quick if you get a sliver in your tushy. In your tushy. I guess so. Eve Samard, like on YouTube too. Thank you very much, sir. Let's see. All right. So I did something for tonight's show that I haven't done in months and months. I used to write like pages of notes before the show, and I just stopped doing it because it's already like 2 hours of prep before I get started anyway. But I decided today, instead of doing a clip video early, I would write some notes. I don't have a huge amount, but I've got a few things that I wanted to remember, because I find that sometimes my mind just turns into a block of wood about 2 hours in. So I did write a little bit of stuff. It's actually just to remind me, but I want you guys to tell me if it's a better show or not tonight. Now, most of it, like 95% of the show, I have nothing or even more. It's very little for a 4-hour show, but I'm hoping to put a better product for you guys together. That's my point. So I'm trying. I'm working hard. All right. I should have some rant juice. So does everybody have their rant juice ready? Because I fully encourage you guys at home to rant as well. There's something that really pisses you off, rant. I mean, if you're at home and if you have a buzzer at home, and you guys will usually know when it's coming, and you can buy buzzers. I've got one. You can buy buzzers, and you can do this at home. If you feel it coming on, you can time it, and you can go, Commie gets nothing. And then it's also good if you have an applause thing at home as well. So I don't know. Gonna have to work on that. All right. So our first order of business is to look at this from the post-millennial. Liberal women lonelier, more unhappy than conservative counterparts from the American Family Survey. Well, we knew that, didn't we? We knew that because, look, if you have an ideology which tells you that you're a victim, even though that's patently absurd in the modern world, in the modern Western world, that is patently absurd. If you look at, scholarships, anything, young women make more than young men at this point. So that's just not true. It's not true that women are oppressed. It's the opposite of that. I'm not saying bad things don't happen to women. Of course they do. And there are bad men that do bad things to women. Right? But this is not a patriarchy. That's just simply not true. But if you have an ideology that lies to you and tells you that even though you're one of the most privileged people that's ever existed on Earth in the entire history of humanity, but still tells you that you're oppressed all the time and you have to be constantly turning over rocks and pebbles and grains of sand looking for the oppression that happened to you, that's going to make you unhappy. But what are they saying here? Only 12% of liberal women between the ages of 18 and 40 reported feeling satisfied with their lives, compared to 37% of conservative women who said they felt the same way. I mean, it's lower than it should be for conservative women as well. I think probably a lot of conservative women have to work and they don't want to. They'd rather just have a family. But, with the economy as it is now, in all Western countries, really, there's no choice. But 12% of liberal women, so that's like just over 1 in 10 liberal women are not happy with their lives. That's not good. Results revealed that liberal women are nearly 3 times more likely than conservatives to report experiencing loneliness at least a few times per week. Marriage rates are also higher among conservative women. Liberal women reported being married at a rate of 31%, while conservative women reported being married at a rate of at least 51%. So you also have an ideology that tells you that if you get married and have kids and a family and a traditional life, you're a loser. And that's so lame. And you should be partying and discovering yourself. Well, the problem is, that your 20s are really, for women, your 20s really should be your peak years in terms of starting a family. It's just easier, right? And men usually hit their stride in their 30s, a little bit later. But if you have an ideology that tells you that, you just have to work, you have to work up the corporate ladder or whatever, get that promotion, and it's not really what you want, well, that's a recipe for being unhappy. And let me show you something. So this is from Everyday Feminism, and they've got some advice, some terrible advice for women. Let's see, if everyone reading this gave $12, we could raise enough money for the entire year in just one day. No. Commie gets nothing. I hope you're already at home. Now, they should be giving us $12 each for having to sit through this. But anyway, let's take a look. 8 warning signs your partner is actually really sexist. Really sexist. So, liberal women are very worried about sexism, and they're looking for it under every grain of sand. And Let's take a little peek. They've made you feel belittled. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And by the way, each one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes down to 8. That's how many cats you have as you graduate through each step here. So you end off with 8 cats. If you get to the end, 8 cats. And then I guess you can add more after that. So let's see. They've made you feel belittled. So, of course, this can happen to anybody, regardless of gender. Then why bother with this? I mean, why bother? This can happen to anybody, regardless of gender, but it's definitely evil sexism. It's definitely the patriarchy, but it could happen to anybody, regardless of gender. Maybe you're just trying to pick a fight. Maybe you're just looking for something. Belittlement can be a sign of sexism because it reflects the belief that what you have to say is less important than what he does. This is what makes a successful relationship, constantly fighting over who's more important. You know, it feels like a partnership can just kind of come naturally with reasonable people who aren't reading the worst into everything. This doesn't seem like a great idea. This is essentially saying you have to be alert. This whole thing is saying you have to be alert all the time in case you feel belittled in some way. Even if it's your imagination. I mean, it could be your imagination, but it's definitely the patriarchy. Let's see. They've pressured you about your body. Says, what we do with our bodies is our choice. So if your partner makes you feel bad about choices regarding your own body, it may reflect an unhealthy entitlement complex, regardless of your or their gender. Entitlement complex. Let's see. If they simply don't find your fashion, beauty, or fitness choices aesthetically pleasing, that's not really their business. But if you want to be in a relationship with them, it kind of is their business a little bit, isn't it? I mean, speaking of unhealthy entitlement complexes, kind of feels like maybe that's something you want to consider. This kind of feels like, no, you don't need to have any self-accountability whatsoever. Everybody just has to love you no matter what. You're perfect just as you are. And your cats agree. They don't ask for your consent. Even if someone's not an outright R word, any sort of sexual misconduct is a red flag. Well, a respectful person is not interested in sex, kissing, cuddling, or anything else with someone who does not freely consent. And they're willing to ask for your consent so they don't risk making the wrong assumptions. Is that a turn on for the wives out there? Is it a turn on for your husband to ask permission to touch you? Is that a turn on? Because it kind of seems like something that might, turn a typical woman into the Sahara Desert. So is this is the future? This is the future. No wonder these women are depressed. This is the future. Everybody has to be whoever you date, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, has to be constantly terrified that you're going to blow the whistle that you've got around your neck 24 hours a day because you didn't consent exactly in that moment. Because he didn't ask permission. Why is 50 Shades of Grey the biggest selling book in history? It sold more copies than like the Bible. Because was there a lot? I never read it, but considering the subject matter, I don't think there was a lot of asking for consent going on in that. Probably best, good idea. Probably just have lawyers in the room with you every time. It's Valentine's. I hope everybody who's out tonight is going to have lawyers with them in the room just to make sure. You want to make sure all the T's are crossed and whatnot. I'm starting to see why these liberal women are depressed. They pride themselves on being a nice guy. Now, She can't bring herself to actually say it accurately, but she means male feminist. And we don't really have to go any further than that. Let's see. They make assumptions about you. Let's see. Relationships are about getting to know each other on a profound, intimate level, making gender-based assumptions in pieces. Okay, just become a lesbian already, please. We see where this is going. Next. They insist on following gendered dating scripts. If a guy feels the need to always pay for a female partner's dinner or open doors for her, such that he refuses to let her do either, ever, he may not be secure in his masculinity. So many cats in the world, so many cats. So if you're a normal woman, date a normal guy. And if you're not, shave your head and buy a jean jacket. And buy an Indigo Girls album and just listen to that from now on with your box of wine and your 57 cats. Because this is not a recipe for success. Is this just for mentally ill people? Are so many of them mentally ill that this is now like what's highest in demand for liberal women? I don't know. They make jokes at one gender's expense. It's not particularly funny to hear about how difficult women are when they're menstruating, if that stereotype prevents people from taking you seriously. Oh, God. So here's the thing. This is to the men out there. Just don't date liberal women. Just don't date them. Don't marry them. They're just far overly sensitive. Overly sensitive, woke, liberal women are just a recipe to be miserable for the rest of your life. That's just the way it is. Right. So this just feels like a description of the type of woman to avoid if you expect to have any amount of peace in your life or happiness or success. Basically, what we're hearing here is everything men do is wrong, and women should be perpetually offended and angry and alert for any kind of oppression that might be coming, any kind of patriarchy that's being done to them. Got to be constantly alert, constantly wary, watching. Did he do a patriarchy? If so, I need to be a Karen now. How to tell warning signs that your partner is actually really sexist. This is more like warning signs that your partner is going to leave you eventually because he's so unhappy. Must like cats. Seeking roommate. Must like cats. Lots of cats. All right. All right, anyway. Well, that was fun. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Let's jump back a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Turtle says, bring it, bitches. Tulsi and RFK Jr. waiting for Cash. So I guess Cash will be next week. Max says that channel crashing hard, had to come back many times. Yikes. I think for most people it seems to work. I don't know what's going on, but a few people seem to have that problem. Nevada says that he's doing hot cocoa right now. Ooh, be careful with that shit. Let's see. Us and them. I tried to talk while I was also belching. All right, rant juice. What the hell do I want to be doing hanging with a woke witch? A woke witch. I need to get like the witch laughing thing from the Wizard of Oz. I need to get that on the soundboard. I need to remember that. Let's see. Turtle says, hence they stopped shaving their heads. Brr. How many of them actually shaved their heads? Let's see. Jesse says, that's why they are commies. Yep. Commies. Lots of there's a lot more commies than you realize. And there's a lot of people who don't realize that they're commies, that their ideology is Marxist, but it is. Nevada says, commies don't know how to love, so they don't get love. It's so sad. It's so sad. But I don't feel sorry for them, though. They shouldn't be dirty, filthy, disgusting commies. That's, that's their responsibility. Max says, I was literally looking under a rock for oppression in front of my wife just now. Can't say I found it. It's there somewhere. Keep looking. Maybe it's in in one of her shoes or something. Jesse says, maybe it's the dating strike making them so lonely. Who would have known that would backfire? I don't think any of them actually did it, or if they did it for like 12 hours, and they were back on Tinder again. Yves Samard makes a great point. He says, it's not racist to like, it's not. In fact, if you don't like this stream, you're probably racist. I think you're probably racist. You're probably transphobic if you don't. So I noticed that you didn't like, and that makes me feel unsafe because that's violence and it's racist and anti-colonialism and capitalism, something. So I'm going to have to talk to the manager. I am the manager. Shut up, commie. Ad. Rosie wants an ad. Let's see. Well, can we do an ad? Oh my God, we can. Oh my God, we can do an ad right now. Let's do it. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. It's that important, people. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator, like Radio Baloney. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID or my video about Stephen Hawking. I was actually complimenting him. Or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration like a bunch of dirty commies. Can you believe that, people? Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France, bunch of dirty commies, if you ask me. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. They're confused. They think they're communist. What the hell is going on? Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. And it's a damn shame. But watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. It sounds cool, doesn't it? Doesn't it just sound cool? Rumble Premium. I want in on that. In fact, I'm already in it. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. That's right, human right. It's the most important one. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. Don't forget that STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium. That's rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Don't forget that STUDIO. You're going to need it. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us on Rumble. And I won't just assume that you're some sort of dirty, filthy commie or something. Felt good getting that out. Felt good getting that out. That was good. That was good. Felt like a long ad read, didn't it? Felt like a long one there. But it felt good. All right. What are you people saying now? Macross got Rumble Premium. Sweet. Nice. Nice. Let's see. Let's see. Jesse said, "Commie hate. I like Richie going the distance." Nevada says, "That was a great ad read." Max said, "It was a good ad read. Not great, good. Good." All right. Is everybody liking the stream? Is that happening right now? Are we all doing that? Rosie says, "Great howls, enthusiasm, smiles, commie hate. Happy Valentine's Day. Perfect ad read. 11 out of 10. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We did our Valentine's yesterday because, the stream has to happen. The show has to go on. But happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hope you're all having a sexy time watching this show. Henceforth for Valentine's Day, give an ad, like. It'll be a new tradition. Every Valentine's Day, everybody watching likes the stream. All right. Let's see. Jack says, "Let's get that number to 50. We're talking about likes. We need 50 likes. We need that. Thank you, Jack. Very important." Let's see. All right. All right. Well, now I'm across the state. Rosie's premium, but we're broke. Didn't you say you got premium? Oh dear. Well, I don't think any less of you. It's okay. All right. So let's move on. I got so many tabs open. That's why I'm saying that this could be a long one tonight. I got to close a couple to give us some space. So, Betty Johnson, President Trump has fired all federal prosecutors appointed by Biden. Of course, the media is freaking out. The left is freaking out. Dictator, blah, blah, blah. Fascist dictator, blah, 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 blah. Just one problem. Biden's Justice Department to ask nearly all Trump-era U.S. attorneys to resign. When was this? February 8th, 2021. So normal then. So Trump did a normal thing. Of course, the media is freaking out. Of course, they're going to, but it's normal thing. I just wanted to show you this so that when you see something or if somebody says something, you can say, no, that's normal. All right, let's get rid of these tabs too. Let's move on to the next. All right. Actually, now we're going really quick through everything. What are you, 44 minutes in? All right. RFK, he's in. And his speech is great. Maybe we'll watch the whole thing. It's about 5 minutes long. But it's really, it feels like historic to me. RFK heading to the FDA headquarters tomorrow with his bat wrapped with barbed wire, just like Negan. So when you actually look at what the things that he wants are, it's not very extreme. It's actually nothing to be scared of, right? It's just he wants like transparency for the public so that they can really give informed consent to taking these medications and vaccines and whatnot. He wants proper testing, right? He doesn't want things rushed through. Like if something's supposed to have, the standard is long-term testing, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. You should do that and actually tell people the truth about the results. Stuff like that. I mean, that's stuff that just anybody should want. Of course, they're pushing, he's going to ban all vaccines and blah, blah, blah. No, nothing of the kind. He just wants you to know what's in them and what the actual risks are. Which just seems sane to me. That seems like something, it's so weird how the left just flipped. Really what happened was liberals turned into progressives who are illiberal. So liberals turned into illiberals. And they did it really quick, which leads me to believe that most of these people that were calling themselves liberals they just wore the clothing of the liberal. They just wore that name brand of the liberal, those designer clothes that identified them as the liberal, that brand, Gucci, Calvin Klein, whatever, right? It was just really a brand to them. Because as soon as they were told, hey, you're not for free speech anymore. Now you hate free speech. Now you want to censor everybody you disagree with. Are you okay with that? They all went, sure. What's hate? You're against hate speech, right? You want to censor that, right? Sure. Do you know what hate speech is? Anything we don't like? Yeah, that's right. You're for that, right? It's kind of amazing, isn't it? It's kind of amazing. Hey, we're liberals. We're against war. No, we're for war because CNN told us to be. So strange. We don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. Now we have total and utter slavish devotion to pharmaceutical companies because CNN told us to. It's so weird, right? Like it does expose something. A large percentage of any population in any country, it's just tribal, right? It's just a brand name. It's just a tribe. It's just it's a brand that they like, that they're loyal to, and they don't actually have any principles because they will turn on their head in a second. They will reject everything they pretended to believe in a second if the tribe tells them to. It's amazing. Must see RFK Jr.'s powerful speech in the Oval Office before officially launching the Make America Healthy Again Commission. This is a Democrat who was forced into the arms of the Republicans, into the arms of Trump, because the Democrats would have absolutely nothing to do with him whatsoever because he wasn't a shill. Amazing.
A single man plant himself firmly on his own ideal, and there abide, the whole wide world will come around to him. For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump. All right. And he gave me...
God sent me President Trump. You can tell Trump liked that. He liked that a lot.
He's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump. I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. Right. And I'm so grateful to him. And I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country at a time when we see all of the indicia of democracy now in tatters in our country. We see the rise of the military-industrial complex, the rise of totalitarianism, these attacks on our Constitution, and this breathtaking epidemic that is disabling our people. President Trump has promised to restore the American dream in this country. A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one. 60% of our population has only one dream, that they get better. President Trump has promised that he's going to restore America's strength. But we can't be a strong nation if we have a weak citizenry. If people are sick, 60% of our people are sick, 77%, as President Trump mentioned, our children cannot qualify for military service. And we need a man on a white horse now. We need somebody who is willing to come in and has the spine and the guts and the strength to challenge orthodoxies, to stand in the way of vested interests, and to break institutions that have turned against our democracy. President Trump has shown again and again that he is that hero. And
you know, it's quite amazing because he's talking about man on a white horse, pivotal figure in history. That's true. I mean, especially the pivotal figure in history part. If it was a movie, you wouldn't believe it. If his story was just since 2015 was a movie, you wouldn't believe it. It's crazy. I mean, including assassination attempts, almost dying. It's insane. An entire government, it seems, totally against him. A government being turned into basically a banana republic government for the purpose of getting him and then winning. It all seems like providence or fate or something, doesn't it? It's very strange. Certainly a pivotal figure. I mean, there will be many, many books written about Trump, more than are typically written about a president. And they'll still be talking about him. I mean, if there's civilization in 1,000 years, people will be, if it's not just the Matrix at that point, people will still be writing books about Trump. But anyway, let's continue.
Most recently, I greatly appreciate, and I called you the day that you announced the termination of USAID. My uncle started USAID in 1961 for humanitarian purposes, to put our country on the side of the poor. It has been captured by the military-industrial complex. It has become a sinister propagator of totalitarianism and war across the globe. And very few people understand how sinister this agency really is. And President Trump saw that, and he stood up to it with a masterstroke. And we want to do the same thing with the institutions that are stealing the health of our children. We need a revolutionary figure, and you are that figure, and I'm very grateful for you for giving me this opportunity. I want to recognize some of the allies that I've had.
So I found this quite moving, actually, to be honest, because pivotal figure, yes. White horse, actually, yes. Because look, as a Canadian, am I totally wild about all the tariff stuff? No, of course not. With a conservative government coming in, the next government of Canada will be a conservative government, and Pierre Poilievre shares some of the qualities, a lot of the same attitudes as Donald Trump. They really should be natural allies. I think all of this puts him in a corner a little bit, although I do believe this will all get worked out, and Canada will have, I think, probably a more integrated economy with the United States when it's all said and done, which I think is ultimately what Trump actually wants. But that said, when they're writing history books about him 100 years from now, I mean, what will be the themes, right? The theme will be that turning point from, the classic kind of liberal democracy that we've had in the West, free speech, free markets, right? Individual rights, that being on a precipice, and it could turn from that to, a central planning, authoritarianism. I think ultimately where the Bidens, where the Trudeaus, the Carneys, the Macrons, the Starmers, where they want to take it, I think, is to Chinese-style fascism, which China is basically a fascist state. It's still called the Communist Party, but it's really just a fascist state at this point. Fascism, in my mind, is just a sister ideology to communism. They're both left-wing ideologies, to my mind. You may disagree, whatever, but that's how I see it. But that's clearly the way things are going. When you see the censorship, J.D. Vance, we will see, is talking about that in the next story we're going to get to. But clearly that's where it's going. We've seen from Trudeau with his insane bills, with Bill C-63, with the pre-crime, where you can be arrested for something that you might do, that a judge thinks you might do in the future, haven't done, might do. That's so antithetical to Western civilization, to liberal democracy. that is so opposite to like why why the United States was founded, why Canada was. It's totally antithetical to to a sane person's thoughts, right? It's totally antithetical to human well-being, right? And here is Trump, and he's setting an example. And what is that? He's saying you don't have to hate yourself. Western civilization doesn't have to hate itself. The United States doesn't have to hate itself, but Western civilization doesn't have to hate itself. You don't have to hate yourself for the color of your skin, for your ancestors, for your culture. In fact, there's a lot of really awesomeness about it. Like, Western civilization is the pinnacle of human achievement by far. It's the pinnacle of human well-being. It's the pinnacle of freedom for humans. I mean, it's by far, it's not even comparable. Most people that ever lived had horrible lives with no freedom and no possibility of advancement. Right? So it's not something to be ashamed of. You don't need to be mad at capitalism, right? You don't need to be mad at the institutions that have worked. And they need to be reclaimed. That's the pivotal point that Trump represents. Are we going to just throw it all away for some utopian fantasy that we've already played out, right? Did anybody pay attention to the 20th century? We've already played it out. Didn't work out so well. In fact, there's over 100 million people that would tell you that it didn't work out so well if they weren't killed by it. So Trump represents a return to classical Western values, right? The things that actually made the West the most successful societies in history by far the best places to ever live in all of human history. And it's not even remotely close. Just as capitalism has taken, global poverty from, 99% of people to 10% of people, or less, even less than that now. It goes down a little bit every year. So when people write about Trump in the future, that's what they'll write about. And I'm white pilled on it. I think this is the turning point. I think we do end up, with cities on Mars eventually, right? And all the kind of the things you read in science fiction novels. I think they're going to come. But, we have to avoid falling into the leftist utopian trap, because utopias aren't real. And we know where it leads, right? Because we've seen it. We've seen what happens. All right. So anyway, there's that RFK. And I found this quite moving. I found his speech quite moving. He really means it. You can see that, he says, I prayed that I would be able to do something about this. And, basically God answered my prayers, sent me this guy. So it's amazing. Let's see. Science denier, you are endangering my health. That is literally the truth, right? That is literally the way it works. That is literally the people that criticize them. Amazing. All right. Let us move on. Actually, what are you guys saying? Let's go to the noodles for a second. I'll check out the chat. What are you guys talking about? Jack, DEI equals don't employ it's. I just think that don't employ it works better. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's see. Other than them, I thought Napoleon was the man on the white horse. Well, I think it's kind of just like symbolic, right? Let's see. Let's see. Us and them, I was talking about when Napoleon was on that famous painting. I know the painting, and I even used to know the name of the painter, but I can't remember. Was it David or something like that? I can't recall. Max says, it's unreal. Listen to what he is saying. Found it quite moving. Nevada says, I pray that both these great men stay safe and healthy. Jack says, Trump has a time machine. Maybe he does, actually. It's so, again, like his story is so crazy that if it was a movie, you would not believe it. You'd think it was fiction. Let's see. Well, it says, get rid of DEI everywhere. Nevada says, it's all commie racist bullshit. It is indeed. That was another thing that the liberals, the people who were calling themselves liberals, just immediately flipped on and turned themselves into progressives was racism, right? It was, don't judge somebody by the color of their skin, but on the content of their character. And they just, as soon as they were told, no, it's the opposite of that now. Racism's the opposite of that now. And they did, without question. They just immediately did. No, it's race. Now it's racist to not judge somebody by the color of their skin. And they just went with it. Again, sure, had no principles to start with. Rosie says, RFK's life is crazy. Well, the whole brain worm thing is kind of nuts. Trump's is even more unreal. It's true. Let's see. Jesse says, I want Grok to make a video that goes along with tonight's True Gina launched into the Sun poem. I know it's fake, but I'll get the same feelings from it. Works for me. True Gina launched. So, does Grok actually do video? I thought it just did like still images. I don't know. We could try that out later. Let's see. Macross says, true douche is a child in an adult world. We normally say true Gina here, but true douche is good. Let's see. All right, let me skip to the end here. Let's see. Us and Them says, are you a Trekkie? I used to really love Star, especially like the original series when I was a kid, and I loved the Next Generation when it came out. And I've tried to watch some Star Trek recently, but I watched some episodes, enjoyed it. But it's kind of like we thought, that was the kind of future that we could achieve. Traveling amongst the stars. I mean, it's probably pretty unlikely. There's a problem with the speed of light, but all that's gone if the world becomes just this unproductive, totalitarian world state. That's all done. Let's see. Jesse says, Matt Walsh, am I racist? I still haven't watched that, actually. I need to watch that. MLK said a lot of things. Yeah, that's what one of the anti-racists said, right? I think that was in response to you're supposed to judge people by the content of their character, right? Well, he said a lot of things. That is the opposite now. So the modern leftist take, it's not liberal, it's a liberal. The modern leftist take is, no, you have to judge somebody by the color of their skin. It's racist to not judge somebody by the color of their skin. Whoever believes that is not a liberal, and they never were. Let's see. Jesse says Grok makes images and videos. Really? Well, we'll try it out later. All right, let's move on. What do we got next? So we just did RFK. Let's get rid of that tab. And let's get on to JD Vance here. So in this single passage, JD Vance makes manifest the core lie driving U.S. EU foreign policy for decades. We claim everything we do is for advancing democracy when the goal is often the exact opposite. Never imagined a senior U.S. official saying this. So let's take a look.
Recently, and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. Recently, and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned.
See, this is the stuff that the U.S. AID money was going towards, right? I mean, it's been a CIA front. And that's what it's been going towards. I mean, if you look at like what happened in World War II, for instance, right? So the U.S. Totally destroyed the Japanese government and military. Germany was defeated. And what did the U.S. do? They built them back up again. South Korea as well. Built it back up. Now these are incredibly prosperous societies, right? That's a real force for good in the world. That's an enormous force for good right there, right? But meddling in Romania's elections, so because they're not, woke enough, because they're not a DEI government, meddling in like Hungary, which they're doing, right? They have to be, or they were anyway, certainly under Biden. That would have been one of the priorities. Not good. Not good. But let's continue. Okay, we'll get to him. So this is the German defense minister whining about J.D. Vance's speech. But let's take a look at some more highlights here. So this is in Munich. The enemy of Europe is Europe itself, he says. It's lost its fundamental values. Let's take a look.
But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within. The retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States of America. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security.
So, on the topic of Germany, while, black turtlenecks and techno music it's an improvement on the Third Reich, sure, I still think they're missing the mark. Germany just seems determined to find a way to be authoritarian somehow. They just don't seem to want democracy there, right? Banning the most popular political party, the AfD, like that is something that Hitler would do, right? Right? Isn't that something Hitler would do? Although I think that they're probably mostly communists now. I think they got a lot of communists there now. So maybe it's more like a Stalin thing. But, it's Germany. So I think it's too much techno music, personally. They love the techno music. Black turtlenecks and techno music. I think that's where they went wrong. How dare you? How dare you? Lost its fundamental values. I mean, what's the point of being a part of NATO? I'm talking about Canada here as well. If Europe just wants to turn itself into like some like Chinese style totalitarian state, then what's the point, right? Those aren't my values. I don't want those. I don't want my money going towards defending that. Vice President J.D. Vance at the Munich Security Conference. If the American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you can survive a few months of Elon Musk. Again, when J.D. Vance was named as the vice president, it was a bit of a letdown, I thought. I didn't think he was most exciting of the candidates. He turned out to prove me completely wrong. He's knocking it out of the park. Let's take a look.
And expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor. If American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what German democracy...
Silence. We don't like it. We don't like that. We love Greta. We love Greta Thunberg. Silence. They did not like that at all. They don't like hearing the truth is the problem. Let's see.
What no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. And expressing opinions isn't election interference.
They probably asked to see his papers after this, I'm betting. Yikes. Yikes. But obviously, I love this. He's just throwing it in their faces. This is beautiful. It's a work of art. And by the way, as a VP, like, when did you see Kamala Harris? Not even, obviously, she's not going to do something like this. She's not articulate enough or interesting. She's not, or she obviously has terrible ideas. She's all for like technocratic, totalitarian rule, global totalitarian, technocratic rule, right? But just getting up at something like this and just talking so that there's at least a video of it. She just went into hiding. I mean, I understand why, but I mean, this is all very impressive in my book. Let's see. Here he is roasting the leaders of Europe for being a bunch of sniveling babies. Oh, hold on. It's the same one. All right. Hold on. Here we go. Here's talking about the European leaders flooding Europe with migrants. They're definitely not going to like this, I predict.
I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone. And of course, it's gotten much higher since. And we know this situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place? It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants.
Well, I think it's total and utter indifference to, I think it's total and utter indifference to the well-being of their own citizens. That's why they do it. They've got other goals. Hold on one second. There was something I thought while we were on here. Actually, not this one. I have something else here. Where is it? Hold on. I think it's in here. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, here we go. So, a Munich attacker identified as Farhad N from Afghanistan. He reportedly posted Islamist content before the heinous crime. 28 injured in Munich. Afghan 24 crashes into demonstration. Asylum application rejected, but he was allowed to stay. Why would a government do this to its own people? Right? You can say at the very least, they are totally indifferent to the well-being of the public. Another clue to them being indifferent is the fact they want to ban the political party that they want to vote for. That's another clue right there. All right. Free speech. I am ashamed of Britain and how we must now look to the U.S. to save us. So this is a Brit saying this. Because our cowardly politicians are too afraid of the globalists in control. Watch as J.D. Vance defends British people even as our governments won't. This is what I'm talking about. Western civilization being on the precipice. Right? You can either go off the cliff or you can stop and say, no, no, no. We don't hate ourselves. We don't hate our traditions. We don't hate our laws. We don't hate ourselves. Let's take a look.
I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Now, if you were told all of those stories had happened in the Soviet Union, you'd just go, yeah, that's what they did. I mean, that's certainly not the worst that they did there, that they did in the Soviet Union, or that they're doing in China right now. But you just go, yeah. I mean, that's how close the West is to the precipice. I mean, the United States has escaped it for now, absolutely, with Trump. And hopefully, I'm very hopeful, I'm white-pilled, in fact, it's just going to be, the tide is going to be turned now. Permanently, hopefully, right? But Europe is perched on that precipice, ready to go. Maybe they've already gone over it at this point. I mean, if Germany bans the AfD, well, then they already have, right? And I say, Germany just seems determined to be a totalitarian state. I mean, no matter what, it doesn't matter. You can make them rich. No, we want authoritarianism. It's crazy. All right. All right, well, that's what we got there. And now I wanted to talk about, oh, hold on. Let's look at this guy here. So German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius starts whining about J.D. Vance's speech, saying it was not acceptable. It was all totally reasonable. But let's take a look.
This is why I cannot just ignore what we heard before. I cannot not comment on the speech we heard by the US Vice President. We fight for your right to be against us. That is the motto, one of the mottos of the Bundeswehr, and it stands for our democracy. This democracy that was just called into question by the US Vice President, and not just the German democracy, but Europe as a whole.
You want to ban the most popular political party in your country. Anyway.
He spoke of the annulment of democracy, and if I understood him correctly, he compares the condition of Europe with the condition that prevails in some authoritarian regimes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. Maybe he needs to, I don't know, maybe they need like some camps or something to put those evil people, those bad people into or something. I don't know. Let's see. Let's let him continue.
Das ist
This is not acceptable. This is not the Europe, not the democracy where I live and where I conduct my election campaign right now. And this is not the democracy that I...
This is not the democracy where I live and where we throw people in prison for saying naughty words on the internet. Now eat the bugs.
I witness every day in our parliament. In our democracy, every opinion has a voice. And it makes it possible for parties that are partly extremist, such as the AfD, and they can campaign just as any other party. This is democracy. And if the Vice President had...
Hold on. Fact check. One second. Let's see. Germany's Bundestag debates banning far-right AfD party. Far-right. That's right. Far-right because they're not actually leftist. Anybody who's not a leftist is far-right, of course. Potential ban on far-right AfD. That's your democracy. That's the German democracy right there. German lawmakers can't agree whether to seek ban. That's your democracy right there. The fact that they're even debating it kind of proves that it's, they've got a bit of a democracy problem in the Fourth Reich.
The opportunity to switch on his TV set when he arrived yesterday, he would have seen one of those candidates in primetime TV. By the way, we even admit media that spread Russian propaganda, and the representatives of the federal government answer their questions. Nobody is excluded. But democracy does not mean that a vociferous minority will automatically be right, and they cannot decide what truth is. It does not mean that anyone can say anything, and democracy...
Hold on.
Representatives of the federal government answer their questions. Nobody is excluded. But democracy does not mean that a vociferous minority will automatically be right, and they cannot decide what truth is. It does not mean that anyone can say anything, and democracy must be able...
Democracy does not mean that anyone can say anything. That sounds kind of authoritarian to me. It really does. That kind of reminds me of the attitude of a certain government that Germany had 80 years ago, something like that.
To defend itself against extremists that try to destroy it. I am happy to live in Europe, where this democracy is defended every day against its internal and external enemies. And therefore, I would like to explicitly contradict and oppose the impression that Vice President Vance suggested here, that our democracies oppress and silence minorities. We not only know against whom we defend our countries, but also what we defend it for. It's for democracy, for freedom of opinion, for the rule of law, and the dignity of each and every one, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but people can't just say whatever they want, though, right? That's not democracy. He's so worried about it. Last night, I was at home in my black turtleneck, listening to techno music, and I could hardly relax. I was so disturbed by people saying things that I disagreed with. God Lord. Doing weird things with a prostitute. I feel like he does that.
Ladies and gentlemen, but unlike the Vice President, I would also like to focus my speech on the most pressing questions of European and transatlantic.
Okay. Let's see. Some notable abuses of free speech in the European Union over the last 5 years include Germany's expansion of defamation laws. Well, that's where he's from, Germany. Germany has expanded its defamation statutes to prohibit criticism of who? Can you guess who they prohibit criticism of? Oh, politicians. Politicians, if it is perceived to interfere with their official duties, because that's democracy, that's free speech, not being able to criticize the government. Germany, I don't know, it's all starting to feel awful familiar, isn't it? It's all starting to feel extremely familiar, isn't it? I think if he'd had another 10 seconds, he just would have blamed the Jews. This has led to over 1,300 criminal complaints for comments or posts critical of those in power, including satire. That's right, because fascists don't like to be laughed at, and social media posts calling officials idiots. But what if they are idiots? Is that guy an idiot? Fact check, true. The vague nature of what constitutes interference has been criticized for potentially stifling free speech. potentially. Okay, what's the German word for potentially? What's the German word for absolutely? Digital Services Act. The EU's Digital Services Act aims to regulate online platforms, but has been criticized for potentially enabling censorship. I bet that there's some potential enabling of censorship going on. There are concerns that it grants broad powers to the European Commission to police content, particularly during crises, and might encourage platforms to err on the side of over-moderation to avoid fines. This could lead to the suppression of free speech under the guise of combating misinformation or hate speech. Misinformation, it turns out, often just seems to be information, and hate speech turns out to be things that fascist Germans like that guy just don't like. Let's see, Spain's hate speech legislation. Spain has criminalized hate speech directed at individuals based on various characteristics, including sexual orientation and disability, with sanctions including up to 3 years in jail for words. A notable case involved a YouTube host sentenced to prison for humiliating a homeless person in a video, highlighting the potential overreach of these laws into free expression. Not nice. Don't like it if that's what actually happened. But prison, come on. Content moderation and internet shutdown threats. There have been instances where EU officials have threatened to shut down social media platforms or enforce strict content removal, particularly during times of civil unrest or when content is deemed hateful. This has raised alarms about the potential for arbitrary blocking of platforms and the impact of free speech. Hey, Rumble is blocked in France. And they keep threatening to shut down X because they don't like Elon. They don't like free speech. They don't like hearing things. Well, we know that German politicians actually made it illegal to criticize them. Let's see. Or criticize them too harshly or call them idiots. Let's see. Political censorship and legal actions against political parties. In Germany, there's been a push against the Alternative for Germany party, with efforts to ban it due to its political stance, including over 700 hate crime complaints, which is just what? What is that? Hate crime is so broadly defined now that it really just means anything that's not far left. Complaints against individuals for insulting Green Party politicians. So it's a hate crime to insult Green Party politicians. This reflects a broader trend where political speech is increasingly scrutinized and potentially curtailed. I mean, you're getting the message here, right? Surveillance and harassment of journalists, regulations of online political speech. This is a desperate man clinging to power. That's what this is. This is a desperate despot clinging to power. These people, I'm convinced, they look at China with envy. They see that as the perfect state, right? It's got capitalism now. Capitalism with Chinese characteristics. Trudeau's on camera saying they admired the Chinese basic dictatorship. They're just telling us this. Klaus Schwab has said similar things. They look at that as the model for the world. They see the Chinese model, right, with they're already setting up their 15-minute cities there. They've got the social credit system. So if you do criticize the government, well, now all of a sudden you can't buy things. You can't get on a train. You can't travel. They see that. And of course, if they need to, they just disappear people as well, obviously. The government has an office in every single company with over, I think 100 employees, something like that. So that's like the dream for the technocrat globalist, right? I think they look at that Chinese system. I guarantee you this guy looks at that with envy. Think that's the system. That's the system right there. Total control forever. The future is a boot on a human face forever. These people read 1984 and they thought it was a fucking great idea. Anyway, I got a little animated in that one. A little bit of a rant for you guys. All right. Now what's happening? What are you guys talking about? Achtung, Macross says. Papers, please. I guess in Germany, your papers now would be like your carbon allowance or something. Your carbon papers, please. You have to go to the carbon plant. You have to go to carbon camp now. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go way back in the chat here. Way back in the chat. Way back. You guys have been busy. Let's see. Nevada said globalists stinking commies. They're the worst kind. That's all of them, though. So they're all the worst kind. Max says it's about population control. Yeah, obviously, right? Censorship is about population control. 100%. Even when it gets to the point of censoring an entire party out of existence. Yeah, that's extreme censorship, I would say. I mean, it's just straight up totalitarianism at that point. Mickey says, happy V-Day, everyone. Happy V-Day to you, Mickey. Let's see, Rose says, Depop and population control. Jesse, thought police. I mean, one thing with the mass migration, I think, is that, they see that as they'll have a new population come in that will be easily controlled. These are their thoughts, I believe. Let's see. Nevada says, sounds a lot like China. Exactly. Great minds think alike. Let's see. All right, now you guys are talking about chocolates. Macross says, I am trying to destroy Valentine's Day. Yuck holiday, all it does is get men in trouble. Unhappy face. Not if you do it right. Let's see. Let's see. Macross says, alcohol makes all women look good, one drink at a time. And Macross is right. He's right on that one. Sometimes to disastrous results, I'm afraid. Been there. All right, let's see. Jesse says, Macross, you don't like the government telling you today is the day you must act this way for this purpose? That's the thing with totalitarian regimes, too. They can just flip it on its head in a second, right? You just have to do what you were told. Nevada says they are attacking the AFD party constantly. They are. They're very afraid of it. They're very afraid of populism. Let's see. Hold on. All right, hold on, you guys. Macross says, show me the person in the room I cannot speak out against, and I'll show you a tyrant. Exactly. 100%. Let's see. Turtle says, volcano, drop them in, remove evil. Well, that's an old tradition. Maybe it's time to bring that back, the throwing people into volcanoes. Let's see. But after a fair trial, then into the volcano. Let's see. Jesse says, I salute you, Rosie. Still think them guys are secretly gay or maybe outspoken, but gay. I don't know. Not all of them, obviously. Not all of them. Just, although, I mean, like, there's a lot of gay people, gays and lesbians that have gone to, like, conservatism because they don't like what's being done in their name under this long string of letters. All right, let's let's move on. Let's see. Let's get rid of these tabs too. Actually, we don't need these anymore. Depopulate the tabs. Let's see. So, Pierre Poilievre gave the United Nations and the World Economic Forum a sucker punch, saying his government will ignore UN orders and disallow visits from the World Economic Forums from Mark Slapinski. This is exactly what we want to hear, right? And this, I credit Trump for a lot. Trump has had a massive effect on Western civilization, on the kind of renaissance of conservatism, but also liberalism as well, right? Because what is being done in the name of liberalism is not liberal, it's illiberal. The Liberal Party of Canada is an illiberal party. It doesn't bear any resemblance to the Liberal Party of, Jean Chrétien, say. So it's made the West, it's made many people in the West not ashamed of appreciating, the Western heritage, the political, cultural heritage of the West, of Western civilization, which is an amazing thing and should be celebrated. And, Pierre Poilievre, he's jumped on this. I mean, I think that it's Trump that's given permission to politicians like Pierre Poilievre to do that. There's been a few a couple in Europe. But there's the guy from the Netherlands. What's his name? The guy from the Netherlands? I forget his name, but he's been at it for a long time. And he actually now is the leader of the Netherlands. What's his name? Somebody tell me his name in the chat. My brain isn't working. I forget his name now. But he was demonized for years and years and years. Hold on, let's do a fact check.
Fact check.
Oh, no, it's not him. No. Maybe I'm thinking of a different country. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Geert Wilders, 2023. Let's see. He's not the leader of the, hold on. Geert Wilders, Netherlands. That's who I was thinking of. Saying he could become the next leader of the Netherlands after a historic election win on Wednesday. That was from November 2023. Let's look him up. Geert Wilders. Member of the House of Representatives of the Netherlands. Okay. Let's look it up. Let's see, political career. Let's get to the end of this. Political positions. Hold on. All right, so he didn't. So he withdrew his bid to become prime minister. So he didn't have support from, of course, a coalition partner. So the other political parties. So it's a parliament. And that can be a problem. I think like every country has like 50 parties there in Europe as well. So anyway, let's move on. That was a sidetrack. Anyway, let's hear what he had to say. I think this might be a little bit old, but let's take a look. I think this might be a year or two old. Or maybe like a year old, but let's take a look.
We have a UN conference, which the UN and the WEF now are. We have a speech regarding are you still supporting the UN stuff? Because I heard when O'Toole left, he basically had a glowing recommendation for the status quo that's basically caused the last 3 years of this kind of hardship. And I'm just kind of curious, how do you plan on building so many houses when we don't have the tradespeople? And we don't have the healthcare that can handle millions more migration, and agenda 2030, like all these agendas, kind of.
So I'll go through it one by one. So the Agenda 2030, first thing is you got to ask Maxime Bernier about that because he's part of the WEF. And
can I interject one?
I didn't interrupt you. So Bernier went to the WEF and then he lied about it. That was the worst part. I knew that he was part of the WEF, but he should have just owned up to it. And then he got caught lying. So if you look up this article by True North, where they caught him lying, and he lied to the people about his involvement. What else is he lying? So that's the.
Didn't Harper sign us into that though?
No, he wasn't forced to go. He went by.
No. He signed us into Agenda 2030, and Mulroney signed us into Agenda 21.
But Bernier went to the WF on his own.
Like, I'm going to vote for you. I'm a BGC supporter. I'm going to vote for you because I want to give you enough rope that you can do what you need to do, and if you don't, then it's going to wake people up. That's my honest opinion.
So I'm against any of these agendas. I'm never going to do what the UN tells me to do. I'm banning my members from being involved in the World Economic Forum. We're going to put people. We're going to get rid of the mandates, ban a central bank digital currency, no mandatory digital
DEI. ESG and DEI.
It's all garbage.
Because a lot of companies don't get funding now.
It's all garbage. It's all garbage. All that stuff is a fake industry designed to make interest groups like corporate executives and insiders filthy rich, and they don't care about any of the causes that they talk about. They don't care about those causes. They're a bunch of nonsense and phonies. Okay, so I'm not going to buy into that garbage. I'm going to get back to good free enterprise economics where businesses get ahead by having the best product, not by having the best lobbyists. Workers keep more of their wages. Government gets out of people's hair, off their back, and out of their way.
No one disagrees with any of those things, right? As you can see.
This is what, but I'm the only one that can do it.
I just want to see you implement it. Because the last 30 years...
I got to win.
I'll vote for you. I'll give you a try.
I got to win.
But it's one of those things, it's a pessimistic vote.
The day after the election, you're going to have one or two people be prime minister. You're going to have the guy who admires the basic Chinese communist dictatorship, or you're going to have me.
Yeah,
take your pick.
I get that.
It's two options.
Pretty good win that vote. I get that.
Yeah, so that is a year or so old. This is what helped to make Pierre Poilievre so popular amongst conservatives, but also expanded his popularity outside of that kind of core conservative base to the point where if the election were right now, we'd have a majority government. And it took too long. I mean, the previous conservative leader before him really blew the election in 2021 by just kind of, it doesn't work. It's not going to work to just pay lip service to all the globalist shit, because if you don't, then the CBC will say that you're mean. Because guess what? If you're not a socialist, the CBC is going to call you mean anyway. They're going to say all kinds of terrible things about you. They're going to frame you in the most negative light possible. Anyway, it's their mission. It's their purpose in life. To lie to the public, to try and, to create false narratives for the public. So there's no point playing the game. And when he stopped playing the game, when we saw a conservative leader who was not playing, who refused to play the game, right? That's when he really caught fire. That's when he caught fire. And it's been a good move. It's been a fantastic, it's working very well. He will form a majority government in the next election. I'm still predicting that Mark Carney will lose worse than Trudeau would have had he stayed in the race. All right. Let's check out the chat quickly. Hold on. Let's put a fence video on. Let's see. Let's see. GOP deserves Santos has been busy in the chat. Let's see. So, okay. Now it looks like he's gone. Good. Okay. If I see somebody like this, a troll who's just trying to take over the chat, I will ban them, because they're just fucking with us at that point. There's no point. They don't have anything of value to say. Let's see. Jesse says, GOP, you really pumping it out? You wrote that all before you posted it? Probably a Chinese bot. It's probably in a warehouse in China somewhere, somebody with decent English in front of 50 phones with 50 different accounts. You're going to see more of that on Rumble now as it gets more and more popular. You'll see more of that. I think this is a fairly obvious case here. Let's see. Rosie says, I love seeing the Iceland volcanoes. Let's see. They have giant ones there. Yeah. But while we're on it, the GOP does, if it is a real person, and I've read the literature on this. So you have to have some compassion for them, because you have to understand. And again, I've read the literature on this. It's very likely, almost certain, that this GOP deserves Santos suffers from both AIDS and monkeypox. Again, I've read the literature on this. It's almost certain. And it's tough, and it can make people angry. It can make people lash out. It's a difficult thing to live with, and then as well, on top of that, it's very likely that GOP deserves Santos used their own ass as like a level 4 biolab, and then combined the AIDS and the monkeypox they have inside of it, like in a lab in Wuhan or something, and then use that to create a new hybrid called monkey AIDS pox, which is devastating. It's really, really tough. Can you imagine having to try and, tell your parents, for instance, hey, I've got some bad news. I've got AIDS and monkeypox and monkey AIDS pox. That's a tough conversation, a really tough conversation. So you have to have compassion for the person in the warehouse in China with 50 phones in front of them, typing up garbage, propaganda to try and destabilize the West in some way. So you have to be careful, you know. Always have compassion. Always have compassion. Rosie says, GOP deserves Santos fits right into our dump them into a volcano discussion. It's true. JDL says, pandemics ahead. Oh, God, not another one. The real tragedy is that they destroyed, like, the left, the modern left, the establishment, you know, the deep state, everything, whatever country you're in, with the equivalent of that in the West, has destroyed the reputation of, you know, the institutions, of just the word expert. The word expert don't mean what it used to, right? Now it just means somebody who will say what the network news, what the cable news, what the CBC wants them to say for money. That's all it means now. So, yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that there could be something awful. Something, maybe the bird flu. Right now, it hasn't learned how to spread between mammals. It can go from birds to mammals, but not between mammals. If it does learn how to do that, I mean, probably not very likely unless somebody does it in a lab. But if it does, I mean, yeah, that's a real problem, right? Like, there are circumstances where you would need to have quarantines, right? Where you would need to have a serious response. Unfortunately, it's just hard to believe them anymore. Now, you could have something where it's 50% death rate or higher. It's just that it's hard to believe them now because you have no guarantee that they're telling the truth. Let's see. Izzy says, monkey AIDS pox is a horrible way to go. It really is. It really is. It's terrible. That's why I say have compassion. The only cure for monkey AIDS pox, I think we know, I think Rosie knows, volcano. That's it. Let's see. Jeez. McCross says GOP fell into the volcano and is deceased. I know. That's very sad. Let's see. Rosie says, I hope she is not allergic to goats. I don't know. She doesn't seem that keen on them. She keeps her distance. She's really just there for the fence. Let's see. Max says, no, pandemic is old method, or pandemic is old method. Wait for new thing. It will involve AI. AI is going to, I mean, ultimately the AI will lead to us all being terminated by our sex bots. But anyway. JDL says, are universities and colleges tax exempt in Canada? I don't know, probably. I would think so. All right, let's get on to the next thing. So we've seen that. Should we do Grok versus Trudeau? What do you guys think? So this will be one of the last ones. It's, what's the date today? The 14th. So what, another 2 Fridays? Maybe 3 more to go. 3 more Fridays. Then I can finally stop doing this. So what did I ask it to do? I said, write a poem. Trudeau calls a press conference to announce Canada's first black trans woman communist astronaut. Himself. He will get permanent full-body blackface treatments and a sex change, including a vaginoplasty. Unfortunately, no space agency in the world will accommodate him, but the people of Canada suggest they will crowdfund the construction of a rocket ship for him to realize his dream. The rocket is, in fact, a giant cannon that launches Trudeau into the sun. See what we did? After the ruse is complete, a national holiday is established to celebrate the event, and a new golden age of prosperity and freedom in Canada begins. So here we go. Oh, yeah, so we got lots of bots going on here. Hold on a sec. Okay, there we go. All right, we're getting bot attacked. You know what? I better get the other one as well. Hold on. Because it's just annoying, right? There we go. There we go. Okay. See, these are bots, right? Trump didn't end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours like he promised, but he did ban rainbow flags in government buildings because, yeah, this is just, that is just, oh, hold on. Let's see. Okay, I promise. Yeah, so this is just another repeat one here. So this is another one. So get rid of that too. There we go. All right. Nope, not a bot. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. The exact same things from 3 different accounts in a row. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I hope it's warm in that. I hope they're keeping you warm in that warehouse in China. Jesse says another bot dead internet theory. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Okay. Well, let's see. How would you like me to prove I'm not a bot? Well, the fact that you have 4 different accounts already. Remember when I said there's somebody in a warehouse in China with 50 phones in front of them? And you've got 4 different accounts all ready to go all at once? That leads me to believe that you're not real. That's what does. See, now 5 different accounts. See, this is how it's done. That's right. You're totally legit. Somebody who has 5 different accounts, probably 50. Here we go. Actually, I'm getting interested now. Oh, what's this? Donald's Awakening crime spree. There we go. I accidentally pinned that one. Now it's getting interesting. So 5 accounts all watching this at the same time, the same person, and is saying, thinks that proves it's not a bot. It seems like that actually proves it's a bot, doesn't it? I mean, how many accounts does this person have? Here we go, another one. 6 accounts. All the same person. This is actually kind of interesting. The fact he says he's not from China, he is from China. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's totally normal to have 6 accounts, the same person to have 6 accounts all on the stream at the same time. Because I normally sign into 6 accounts when I watch a Rumble video. I mean, it's amazing that it's just proving it with each new account. I'm fascinated to see how many this person's actually running. Here we go. There was another one. So was that 7 now? That's 7. All right, hold on a second. Let's see, Jesse says it's just a program, not a real person. Yeah, I think it's just a program. AI. Yeah, maybe it's an AI program. Let's see. Now I want to see how many there are. There's 7 so far, right? So, what do you guys think? Let's do a vote. Is it a real person? Like, is it a person like in a warehouse in China or somewhere like that with 50 phones in front of them, all signed into Rumble onto the same stream at the same time? Right? So that's how they're doing it so quick. Or is it just an AI? Here we go. That's 8. Let's see. Every time you block me, I sign out. Then I sign in a different account. How many accounts do you have? Let's see. So that's 8. Signed in on 8 accounts. Wow. If it's a real person, it is kind of sad, isn't it? Algorithmic bot. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I told you I've got 150 accounts. Jesus Christ. That's amazing. If it is a real person, that is hilarious. Jeez. I mean, it's sad, but it's also funny. Is there a way to report them? I don't know. I mean, if that's what somebody's doing with their life, they're setting up 150 accounts. I mean, what do you do? I guess I mean, it is sad, but well, let's just keep doing this. Let's see. McCross says he's wormed into someone's computer. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. Is there a way to report them? I don't know. I mean, yeah, if somebody's got like that many, I'm kind of fascinated by this now. Welcome to the bot person. They should really join it for. I don't. Maybe it's just an AI. Probably just an AI. It's kind of fascinating, though. I want to see where it goes. I want to see how many accounts there actually are. Jesse says government worker at USA that just got fired. All right. All right. Well, anyway, so here is the Grok versus Trudeau poem. Hopefully, this is one of the very last ones. All right. We'll just ignore that from now on. Trudeau calls a press conference to announce Canada's first black trans woman communist astronaut himself. He will get permanent full-body blackface treatments and a sex change, including a vaginoplasty like the troll who's in the chat. Unfortunately, no space agency in the world will accommodate him, but the people of Canada suggest that they will crowdfund the construction of a rocket ship for him to realize his dream. That sounds nice. The rocket is, in fact, a giant cannon that launches Trudeau into the sun. After the ruse is complete, a national holiday is established to celebrate the event, and a new golden age of prosperity and freedom in Canada begins. All right, so let's take a look. In Ottawa, with all eyes on him, Trudeau declared with a playful grin, I'll be the first, a cosmic sight, a black trans woman, communist in flight. With blackface set a permanent hue, and surgery planned his vision true. To change his form to fit the dream, a vaginoplasty, or so it would seem. But space agencies, they turned away. No place for you, they'd simply say. Yet Canadians in jest or in jest planned a rocket for this grand quest. A cannon vast, aimed at the sun to send him off when all was done. With cheers and jeers, up he was flung into the sun where he was hung. And then they made a holiday bright to mark this day, this curious flight. From then on, Canada prospered free in a golden age of liberty. A tale of folly, of dreams and strife, of a leader launched into the afterlife. A lesson learned in humor wrapped in Canada's history, now etched and mapped. Now etched and mapped. All right, so hopefully make 3 more of those, and then we can be done with it forever. I hope. We shall just have to see. All right, so on the issue, I think somebody was mentioning the tariffs earlier. Let's take a look. Canada is more vulnerable to President Trump's threats because of the economic decisions made by the Carney Trudeau Liberals. Oh. And we're back. There we go. All right. So I think right now, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear the audio? We just had the glitch. We're back. We are good. Thank you guys. Awesome. So I think that right now we're going to cut out the YouTube portion of the stream and we'll just continue on Rumble. So anybody watching on YouTube right now, please join us over on Rumble. If not, we'll see you on the next stream. See you later. There we go. There we go.